A new insane JP Morgan lawsuit has backfired hilariously. We're going to get that today on The Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney. So let's get right into it. So today we have a story that was circulating all over the place about, as seen here, a glamorous JP Morgan executive accused of turning a married male broker into her office slave. Claims of spiking and a litany of forced acts that made him cry. Now, if you think this is crazy, yes, it is indeed pretty insane. And people on the internet have put together the facts in a very interesting way. So let's take a look at one of the recreations.
You're doing great work here. But if you want to move up and get that promotion at the end of the year, you're going to need to earn it. Birthday present for my man? You're going to need to earn it.
And if you guys think this story and this recreation is crazy, that is just the tame beginning of the details. It gets much wilder. This is the guy, this is the accuser, Chirayu Rana. And he is a broker, the married broker, who is making these accusations. But the facts get even crazier when you dig down into this. So when you look at the claims, and these are the claims that have been circulating all over the internet, some of these look like they are written by bad AI. Like this is a straight up fan fiction. For example, the statement which got everybody, which is, I bet your little fish head wife doesn't have these cannons. Just that language alone, using those pejoratives, using cannons to refer to oneself, that is just a way that people don't speak. That's not something that happens in real life. And then it goes on to say this, stop crying. You think anyone would ever believe you? You're in a bag, a D-bag, who thinks he's hot, but you can't even get, well, let's say, what the F is this? And then saying during a second encounter that Hajani, this executive, ordered him to pose, pushed him to the ground and face while verbally abusing him, while he was unable to stay extended, and then made a racist remark that at least he didn't taste like curry. Once again, absolutely insane stuff. This stuff is stuff like you think it was written in a bad B, C, D fiction, kind of a one-off drama movie or some online fanfic. Absolutely wild stuff. And when you looked at the memes out of this, people were absolutely memeing on this, making jokes that JP Morgan applications are going up, which, by the way, searches for JP Morgan did actually go up after this factually, which is very hilarious. But when they actually looked into this, when they actually took this seriously and looked into this, because mind you, this is part of a lawsuit that was actually filed originally, well, it turns out that it was bunk under the investigation. So following an investigation, we don't believe there's any merit to these claims, a spokesman for JP Morgan said. While numerous employees cooperated with the investigation, the complainant refused to participate and has declined to provide facts would be central to support his allegations. So let's stop right there. In any situation where you have a person who's not willing to show up and talk in their own investigation, where they're not willing to show up and answer questions or, give details, etc., all he did was file that lawsuit and essentially run away, right? So that to me looks like, as someone who is a corporate attorney who's dealt with this, who's dealt with a lot of false claims against companies, that is a massive red flag. If you're someone with a genuine complaint, someone who has a actual serious issue, there's probably several people at the company that are also on your side and your allies, and you're willing to come in and talk about this. You're willing to come in and answer questions about this. Even if your counsel's there or lawyer's there, that's perfectly fine. If you felt uncomfortable or unsafe, you could bring a lawyer, you could bring a friend, but there wouldn't be a situation in which you wouldn't show up for the investigation. That's just something that would be extremely odd. Also, Lorna categorically denies these allegations. That's the executive in question. This is through her attorney, through a statement through her attorney. She never engaged in any inappropriate conduct with this individual of any kind and has never been to the location where the alleged supposedly took place. But that wasn't where things ended. Chirayu Rana actually had to retract the lawsuit because he was so openly mocked and because it was criticized, because that investigation failed, because of all of those problems. He actually had to retract the lawsuit and refile it. And when he refiled it, he added more salacious details, this time with quote unquote witnesses. So here's some other crazy new details which just came out in this case, saying that she showed up completely dressed and she woke a family friend of Rana who was trying to sleep while visiting him. Apparently, she sat on the couch while this friend was sleeping, lit a cigarette, and began begging that the friend join him in the bedroom. Once again, this is fan fiction territory, ladies and gentlemen. After refusing several times, Johnny said, I own, essentially, Rana, right? The other guy. So you better come join. The witness heard Rana pleading, no, you have to leave. I'm not going to do this. Please stop. The witness saw Johnny get quote unquote handsy with Rana at a Kygo concert at the Barclays Center in September 2024. The other anonymous witness, so once again, very fishy. These people are not coming out. These people are not giving their names. We're not knowing exactly who they are. Saw Johnny kissing Rana's neck on the street during the summer of 2024. She overheard them entering her apartment building and hearing Johnny say something like, I own you, and then a pejorative word, let's say. The two anonymous witnesses are a male family friend and a female apartment owner where the family friend was staying. Absolutely, to me, sounds not credible. And when you look at these witnesses, people that are likely, once again, a family friend, somebody that's tied financially as well, there's a lot of chances when this looks like a scam, when this smells like a scam, that these people are individuals that are now in on the scam, because he saw that his initial gambit wasn't going to work. It backfired tremendously on him. So now he tried to double down, bring other people in, offer them a cut, anything to save his skin, his reputation, everything else here in this case. So what is my judgment? Well, my judgment is, look, the investigation found the complaint was not credible. Now, while that's not a court ruling, it's still something that came off as extremely odd because he wasn't even willing to show up and talk about it. He wasn't willing to bring those anonymous witnesses in to testify to this, to back that up to the actual company where they might have just settled this out of court. Mind you, he had to file a lawsuit. In cases like this that are credible, I can tell you as corporate counsel, these things will be handled before a lawsuit. If enough evidence is brought to the company that, hey, this happened, they'll have them sign an NDA, they'll pay money, they'll pay money out, whatever, they'll settle this and keep this in-house and move it along the way. That would be something that would happen if this had shreds of credibility, which it doesn't appear to have. The refiled lawsuit doesn't have anything more credible than the original, and in fact, just to me, convinces that this is even more of a manufactured event, and adding in anonymous witnesses that have family ties or financial ties doesn't necessarily back this up in terms of credibility. I also believe that this should be a unifying event. Men and women should look at this and say false accusers should be punished harshly. There should be repercussions for people who make false accusations in the workplace, in other places, for both males and for females. And I think that oftentimes defamation is not enough. Sometimes it's hard to prove that. There does need to be strong repercussions for false accusations, as I do believe this is indeed a very hilariously false accusation. But I want to know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will catch you on the next one. I want to take this opportunity to remind everyone to subscribe to the channel and make sure when you click on that subscription, you have all your notifications turned on, because YouTube has a way of not letting you know when the latest and greatest are out unless you make sure those notifications are indeed on for the channel. And if you really like the content, consider joining as a member. We have 2 exclusive member streams every month where you can ask absolutely any question, and we go into a little bit more casual and fun topics that we don't normally cover in the normal streams. So make sure you do that, subscribe, and consider joining as a member. Thanks.